If you remove the emotion and the frustrations from this and you say, okay, we are going to move on from Mark Pope, whether it's now or this summer, where do you go? Kentucky has suffered another double-digit loss, and the program is in full-blown crisis mode at the moment. The boos are getting louder, the losses are getting heavier, and something has to change for Mark Pope, and it needs to change quickly. The big issue with this situation is the amount of money spent. The report is $22 million spent on this roster, and it's been unable to beat UNC at home. It's been unable to beat Michigan State on a neutral, which was a 17-point loss. Gonzaga on a neutral, which I looked at it was 25 when I left. I don't even know what it ended up being. The offense is bad. The body language is bad. The toughness has been checked. And even if they had beat UNC earlier this week, I don't think it would have made up for what we saw tonight against Gonzaga. They still got Indiana on the schedule. They still have St. John's on the schedule. They still have Alabama coming up. They've got the SEC slate. And on paper, there's not really the bad losses at the beginning of the year. If you had said you didn't win the Michigan State game, you didn't win the UNC game, it was a 3-point game against Carolina, and you didn't win the Gonzaga game, you might say, okay, that's a tough break. That's a tough situation given the injuries and circumstances that have been going on. But when you watch it and you know how bad these losses have been, especially the Gonzaga game tonight, I think it's become really difficult to watch whether you're a Kentucky fan or not. All the Kentucky fans booing at the Carolina game and the fans booing in Nashville don't represent the entire fan base. So you get in the comments, let me know, do you think Mark Pope should keep his job? Should he actually be on the hot seat, or are we beyond hot seat now to you? And should he be gone? And let's look at this from two perspectives, okay? Pope in and Pope out. If you want Mark Pope out, and as a fan, you have that right to feel that. If you remove the emotion and the frustrations from this and you say, okay, we are going to move on from Mark Pope, whether it's now or this summer, where do you go? Because that needs to be a genuine question, because a lot of fans get emotional and get upset and say, okay, the coach has to go, the coach has to go. But where do you go from there? And as a Carolina fan, I can tell you I've had the same conversation with UNC fans. If Hubert is out, where do you go? And especially for Carolina's circumstances, that they won't go outside the family. So you have even more handcuff on where you're actually going to go. Can you legitimately get a big boy to come into Kentucky? They weren't able to get the coach that they want last year. Would this year be any different? Would seeing that type of NIL money, understanding the package and resources that they were going to have at Kentucky, does that make a difference? If you had to make a list, who's on your dream list to come into Kentucky? Probably not this year, but next year. And then who's also on that realistic list. But the sense is now the history, the tradition, the heritage doesn't matter as much to the kids and recruits these days as much as the location and the NIL package. But the resources are obviously there if they did indeed spend $22 million on this roster. If you are Mark Popin, what are 3 realistic things that you need to see out of this group between now and, let's say, the SEC conference tournament? One thing for me is the energy and effort. There has to be a pride and a sense of purpose in playing for that Kentucky jersey. Right now, there's certain guys on the team that look like they are just there for a check. I hate to say it, but that's what it looks like. Mark Pope looks stressed. Now, does he actually feel that way? I think he does. Some fans will say it's just a show and an act. It has to mean something to play at Kentucky. But what are some other things you need to see out of Mark Pope and this group to say, okay, Mark Pope is the guy to right this ship and lead this program going on for the next few years? And I hate to bring up UNC again, but there are a ton of similarities between the programs right now. And we've had a season where we've gone from the number 1 team in the country to not missing the tournament. And if we're being honest, last year, UNC had no business being in the NCAA tournament. And so we've had 2 really poor seasons post Roy Williams. And I think some fans in Kentucky don't feel the way about Cal as Carolina fans feel about Roy. But in essence, still, you have a coach that won a national championship that's gone, who's being replaced by an alumni. And while Davis did get to a national championship in his first year, these previous 3 years have been rough, and this season hasn't been great, to be honest, either. And I've read the comments on the TikTok channel, and it seems pretty split amongst the fan base right now of Pope in, Pope out. But that was earlier today. That was pre-Gonzaga game. Now that game's over, now the emotions are probably running wild. I want to hear from you. Get in the comments. Let me know. Do you think this season is a wash? Do you think Pope can save it? Do you think someone else can save it? Or do you say, look, just forget the season, get to the summer, give Pope another year, and let's see what happens from that point? Remember, guys, subscribe to enter your name in the portal, hit like, share the video, get your comments in. We'll respond to everything we see, just like on TikTok. I appreciate all the support. See you guys on the next one.